and information in order for you to become a successful gambler. We have 5 packages that I think really do an incredible job of providing the information tailored to you, what you want, and what your sports betting needs are. For more information, reach out to the TWSN team, but we have a ton of stuff coming your way. Content from fantasy football, sports betting for UFC, NBA, NHL, and of course the NFL. We are so excited to be able to bring this service to you, and let us know if there's any more information you need.
Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down on.
Welcome back to On the Ball here on another Friday night on the Right Way Sports Network YouTube channel. As always, I'm your host, Will Lachlan, of course, joined by the full cast and crew here at TWSN and our On the Ball crew, Justin, Nader, Jacob, and Thomas. Let's just get straight into this. We got plenty of topics, some drama to talk about, some debates, some news, some injury stuff, just a whole big variety of topics. And, you know, as we enter in really 10 to 12 games into the NBA season now, we're definitely seeing a lot of stuff to start for them, and we're going to break it all down for you. But before we get started, I'd like to just say, of course, drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what we're doing. Of course, comment down below your thoughts on some of the topics that we're going to be discussing. Of course, we'll highlight those, answer any questions you guys have as well. So yeah, let's just get straight into this and discuss some NBA basketball. We're going to start off with what was really a hot topic a couple days ago, and it's definitely cooled down since then. It's the Nicole Yokic and Marquis Morris situation. There was a small stretch where the NBA, it really didn't have a lot going on in terms of like the drama. A lot of people like to say the NBA is a soap opera. The NBA has a lot of drama. But in the first couple of weeks of the season, we didn't really see a whole lot of that. It was just, you know, normal NBA basketball, which is awesome, especially for us. That's why we're on the show. But this is kind of the first thing where it's like there's some real drama. Jacob, I want to throw this to you because I feel like you absolutely loved what happened here. Like, this is just like physical play. I mean, too physical in my opinion, but I'm sure Jacob absolutely loved every second of what happened with Nicole Yokic and Marquis Morris. But maybe I'm wrong on that. Jacob, what was your reaction? Also, I should mention Jokic served his 1-game suspension and Marquis Morris got fined $50K. But Jacob, what was your reaction to what happened?
Marquis Morris also should have been suspended a game, because why in the hell are you like just trying to start a fight? And he you know what's funny? Why did he or his brother say that he turned his back? Because Morris turned his back, and you know he got clocked. You know, and I don't understand, because I thought the Morris brothers were like really tough. I thought they were like, you know, like the tough guys of the NBA, and they turned their back on a guy that, you know, they foul. And so was he? And I thought that they played defense too. So I don't know what the hell that was, but again, I don't blame Jokic at all for retaliating. It may have been a little bit much, but he definitely should have done something. I don't think, like, I'm tired of Eric Spoelstra like crying, like, oh, his career could have been over. Give me a break. Like, you've got to be kidding me, right? Like Eric Spoelstra, come on. Like, you know, save your tears for another day. Like, please. But the reason that this is such a big deal is because Jokic's brothers are like going after Marquis Morris on Twitter, which I kind of find a little interesting and funny. But, you know, again, Jokic like apologized. He said he felt bad, which I don't blame him for. But I think I don't mind him for retaliating. He sent a message, and the message was, if you think that I'm some, you know, cupcake that's just gonna, you know, walk around and do nothing, you're wrong. And I don't blame him for doing that. And obviously that sends a message, because it's good to, like, I think in his case, it's good to show that he has a lot of toughness and he's not afraid of anybody.
I agree with Jacob, because, I mean, obviously, I agree with everything he said. I think Jokic took it a little too far, but it's really Marquis Morris's fault for starting this altercation. But I mean, like, the main reason this is getting so much media attraction is because this is something that doesn't happen too much in today's day and age in the NBA, and even really sports for the most part. This is something that doesn't really happen, and that's why it's getting so much attention. So I think it's good for the NBA in terms of just giving another storyline, because, I mean, next time we get a Nuggets Heat game, I think everyone's going to be tuned into that. Even though not a lot will probably happen between this, it's still going to be something to see. It kind of gives me flashbacks to that Jimmy Butler, TJ Warren thing, which was another good storyline in the NBA. And the fact that the Heat went to the locker room after the game, I think that was also hilarious. And I think that was, like, that was just the tipping point, honestly. I think that was a good move by them, just to stir it up a little more for the fans. But obviously, in hindsight, that's not really the right move as a whole. So obviously what happened wasn't great. And again, Morris should have been suspended a game also for really starting it. But at the same time, I think it's just good for the NBA and good for storylines.
Yeah, I agree with what Justin and Jacob have had to say on the topic. I wasn't opposed to what Jokic did, and I actually found it pretty hilarious how an overwhelming majority of the NBA community was supporting what he did and calling it a Jokic W. I just found that comical because, Jokic is often viewed as a guy who is nice, doesn't do much, unathletic, some would say, very, just a fundamental player, doesn't really do much stuff when it comes to the aggressive side of the game. But to see him, just act out like that, it was a bit surprising. And I think that it probably helps his reputation a bit because, he's an MVP. People are going to come after him. People are looking to, shut him down every night. And I don't know, it shows that he does have that bit of toughness, like Jacob said. But I also just find it hilarious how supportive his brothers are of him because they even started their own little Twitter account just to come after Morris. And I've heard many people say that, Nikola Jokic is the disappointment of the family. I know one of his brothers is a 6'10" Muay Thai champion is what I've heard based off rumors. So I just find it a bit funny. And I don't think it was bad. Provided a lot of, just comical relief for NBA fans. And I just thought it's a pretty cool storyline because it's going to bring more attention to two of the biggest teams in the NBA. So I think it was not necessarily good because people could have gotten hurt, but at the same time, it was pretty good.
You know how much swagger you have to sign off on on one of your tweets? They go, if you want to make a step further, be sure we will be waiting for you, Jokic brothers. I thought that was absolutely hilarious how they were just signing off like that. I thought the whole thing was pretty funny. I mean, I've never seen I've seen Jokic get mad a couple times, but the way he reacted, I was just like, oh my God. I thought the whole thing was really funny. I think Morris definitely deserved it. A lot of people were saying Jokic kind of took it to the next level, but Marquis Morris. Jokic was basically defenseless with his arms up in the air like this. And Marquis Morris comes in and basically hip checks him. That could have seriously caused him an injury. That was probably a more dirty hit than what Jokic did, if I'm being completely honest. So I'm fine with what Jokic did. I thought the whole situation was hilarious. I'd love to see the Jokic brothers and the Morris twins box one day. And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, we were joking backstage how this could be the next fight to make in boxing or UFC, Jokic brothers versus the Morris twins. But in all seriousness, I think this is just a really interesting situation. I'll be honest, the first time I saw this, I thought it was more on Jokic just because when the initial foul from Morris from the normal game angle, it didn't really look it didn't really look that bad, but there's a different angle where they actually showed it was on the court on court camera. It kind of zoomed in and you could clearly see that Morris was way in the wrong for that initial foul. And I think Jokic was justified. Maybe, you would have liked to see him not do that, but I'll be honest, as soon as when I first saw that, the way I don't know if it was just the way Jokic was just barreling into him. I just laughed. I mean, maybe that's wrong. I don't care. It just seemed kind of funny to me at first when I first initially saw it.
I mean, it's an odd thing. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Right,
it's
exactly.
not.
It was just so.
It's just I mean, I've never seen a lot of people put your shoulder in someone. You didn't
Right.
punch him, he didn't push him. You just went left with his shoulder. I mean, it clearly did some damage, but
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. Where someone leads with their shoulder. I think that's an odd technique, but hey, it clearly got the job done. I mean, it worked. So
I think it's fair to say that we're all on Jokic's side in this whole debate / argument between the two families. It became a one-on-one player debate, and now it's become a family affair. I just think that's hilarious.
Yeah, I will say this though. I'm glad both of them didn't get injured because Marquis Morris, he could have gotten hurt, and Eric Spoelstra. I agree. Once I saw Eric Spoelstra's comments, I was like, okay, that's a bit of an over exaggeration, but it is his player. I guess he's got to defend him. But yeah, I mean, this situation was obviously pretty much the talk of the NBA, at least for some people, a couple of days ago. Not necessarily as much now since Jokic obviously served his suspension, but since it was so huge, we definitely just have to address it at the start of the show. Now let's get into some more basketball talk. We're going to get to a little bit of injury news Just going to recap some guys who are going to be coming back or maybe not coming back. We'll start with Zion Williamson, who's reportedly, according to Shams earlier today, Shams on Twitter said he's not close to returning, which is terrible for the Pelicans. And basically, AKA, this means the Pelicans are going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA, continue to be one of the worst teams, if not the worst in the West. Because without Zion and even Brandon Ingram being a little gimpy and not himself, the Pelicans just, they don't have a lot. I mean, one of my favorite players in the league, Nicole Alexander Walker, put up 30 in their last game, but they still lost, I believe, to the OKC Thunder, correct, Thomas? Yeah, they lost to the Thunder. So it's just, without Zion, and we're not going to talk about the Pelicans, but it is worth noting, since that was some big news earlier. Also, a couple guys who are going to be coming back, and we're going to transition this into an actual topic. For the Golden State Warriors, who've looked great. I mean, they have the best record in the NBA at 10-1 so far, but they're getting guys back, and they're going to be getting James Wiseman back at Thanksgiving, reportedly, and Klay Thompson back right before Christmas. So happy holidays to the Warriors, indeed. So I wanted to let's focus this topic on what the Warriors, like rotations, and who is going to really play for this team. Who are going to be the guys that maybe are going to slip out of their rotation now that you're getting to, Klay Thompson, James Wiseman back on the floor? Because if you look at the Warriors roster, I count 13 players that the Warriors could legitimately give minutes to. And that does not include Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. They're 2 top 10 pick rookies. But are you going to be playing 13 players in a rotation? I don't think so. So it's some guys aren't going to make the cut. Nader, I'll throw this one to you first. Who are some of the players in the rotation that you don't think maybe their minutes are going to slip once Klay Thompson and James Wiseman get back? And what's your overall expectations? Do you think the Warriors are NBA title favorites, at full strength?
At full strength, they're definitely title. I'm not ready to say title favorites just yet because I want us to get a bit further into the season before I make an assumption on how well the Lakers or Nuggets or other just big teams in the West will play once they finally get into a rhythm and just into the normalcy of the NBA season. So I think that at full strength, they definitely have the ability to win a lot of games and make it far into the playoffs. And who knows, definitely with the way they've been looking, why not a championship opportunity? But some players that I think could potentially slip out of the rotation, definitely Chris Chiozza. I know that he's been getting some minutes to start the season off, but he'll definitely be slipping out once Klay Thompson, who is a guard, or if they move guys like Gary Payton or Damian Lee or Jordan Poole, maybe put them in backup point guard minutes, you could see Chris Chiozza slipping out. Also, sadly, Gary Payton, he could see some minutes lost, although I loved watching him play. He is a defensive menace. He is athletic, he can dunk, and he just brings a lot of energy to this team. Right now, we're seeing the Warriors basically run a lineup that consists of Jordan Poole, Curry, Wiggins, Draymond, and Kevon Looney. And that's going to be, as much as it has been working, it's not going to be staying consistent because you still got guys like James Wiseman, who is a bit injured right now. So once he comes back, although many people aren't a fan of him, I'm not the biggest supporter of James Wiseman. I'm just not a big fan of his game and how he's been developing. But once he does come back, he is going to get minutes because he was the 2nd overall pick. And you still have to have guys who only have played their rookie year develop into something. So although this Warriors lineup has been doing fantastic, they're definitely not going to be staying the same. But guys you can, continue to see getting minutes. Jordan Poole, he's definitely still getting minutes. Otto Porter Jr. has been looking like one of the better free agent snags this year. Definitely still getting minutes. And Juan Toscano Anderson too. His stock rose significantly after last year, and I think that he'll definitely still be getting minutes despite being a forward. So it should be interesting to see how Steve Kerr manages all this.
Thomas, you shook your. I saw you shake your head when Nader mentioned Gary Payton II, how he might lose minutes. Tell me why you disagree, and also just you kind of talk to me about, because Gary Payton II has emerged and played a big time role for the Warriors in these past few games. So just tell me about that and why you don't see him losing too much minutes, even when all the stars come back.
It's not even necessarily that I don't think he'll lose minutes, but I would be it would be a federal crime if Gary Payton II loses minutes to Klay Thompson and James Wiseman. Klay Thompson, obviously, I understand because Klay is Klay. He's better than Gary Payton. He's going to come back and he's going to be great. But think about it from this perspective, right? The Warriors have no good point of attack defenders right now. Steph is a good defender or is a solid defender overall, but he's not great as a point of attack defender. Same thing with Jordan Poole. They just have no guard, like no point of attack guard defense right now. And Gary Payton is an unbelievable guard defender. Unbelievable. He has the same instincts his father had. He's an insane athlete. Like he is such a good defender. And to me, it would be criminal if he was losing minutes because he's been playing so absurdly well. His jumper's been looking a lot better. He's making athletic plays in the half court. He's been a revelation for this team. He's been such a key contributor off the bench that, like I said, Klay, I would understand, but like, can we send Wiseman to the G League? Like, there's just no.
I don't think Wiseman will take his minutes. I think that Wiseman will take other people's minutes, but
I know. But
Payton.
I'm saying in general, can we just send Wiseman to the G League? Because there's really no use for having him with this lineup right now. And I know that seems harsh, but like they don't need a player. Like Wiseman needs development. Wiseman needs on-ball reps. Wiseman is not ready to play for a title contending team. Like it's not gonna happen. Like it's the same thing with Kuminga, and they put him in the G League. He was a 7th pick. Wiseman was the 2nd, but I don't see why you can't just put him in the G League. He needs to develop really badly. He was not good last year. He needs to go to the G League, get his on-ball reps, learn how to guard in different coverages. Like he's just not ready to compete at the highest level. And I feel like if you plug him into the lineup and take away minutes from guys who can compete at a high level, like looking at the end of their rotation, like Bielitsa, Gary Payton, Otto Porter, Juan Toscano-Anderson, like James Wiseman isn't better than any of those guys. I understand he's 2nd overall pick, but he's just not. So I think it'd be pretty criminal if Wiseman overtakes some of their minutes. I like what they've got going on right now. Klay's obviously going to come back and think things are going to be a little different, but I really don't like the idea of Gary Payton losing minutes. I think that would be a really bad idea.
I have a question for you then, Thomas, Klay Thompson, although he does have the ability to play small forward, he is primarily a shooting guard, I would say. So, and that's the same position as Gary Payton. So who do you think will be losing minutes to keep Gary Payton on the floor for longer?
I mean, it's got to be one of the end of the rotation guys like Juan Toscano-Anderson or Moses Moody. Like in their last game, JTA got 6 minutes, Moody got 5. That's 11 minutes combined. You can just wipe those away. As much as I love Moody, it's the same thing. Like you're trying to win a title here. Like if you want to put all these young guys in the G League and try to get them as many reps as possible, like to me, that is just the best idea because the Warriors are competing for a title. Then again, they could have just avoided this and traded these picks for a star player that could actually help them, but whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But anyways, I think that would be the case. I don't know who would keep their starting job. I don't know if they want to put Klay at the 3 so he doesn't have to guard guards. Like I think like the Warrior, that would be what I would do. I would keep a lineup of Steph, Poole, and Klay because I don't think Klay is ready to guard 2 guards full time or point guards. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Maybe someday, but I think right now putting him on wings would be the best bet and having him just kind of stick with the guys in the corner and follow off ball screens, that kind of stuff. So I would personally bench Wiggins and then cut JTA and Moody's minutes. That's what I would do.
One thing, my bad.
Wait,
I'll be
bench Wiggins for?
I'll be real quick about this, but
okay, sure.
I would not bench Wiggins. I don't think he's effective off the bench. I'd honestly think about benching Poole. I know he's been not phenomenal. He's been very good this year, but I also think that if you have him on the bench, he could be like an instant offense scoring threat and make the second unit really, really good. I don't think Wiggins is effective off the bench. I just don't. I think he needs to play and he needs to start. He's not phenomenal, but he has a lot of good intangibles, and I think he's a very ideal 3. I'm not worried about Klay. I'm really not worried about Klay not being able to guard 2s. I mean, it's Klay Thompson for crying out loud, and he never had a lot of speed anyway, so it doesn't really matter in my opinion. And I think he's going to be fine.
Exactly, but now it's hindered even more now. And Wiggins is a guy who needs the ball. That's why I like him off the bench. Like if you want to put Wiggins in the best situation possible, you give him the ball, you get out of the way, he gets buckets. I feel like that would be the best option for him off the bench. There are a couple ball handlers. You'd have Gary Payton and you have Andre Iguodala, so Wiggins wouldn't have to carry a massive load off the bench. But he's a guy who's most effective with the ball. So I feel like putting him or like Poole and Wiggins both need the ball. But if I'm looking at a guy who's going to be which is more scalable, which is a guy that's going to be able to play off the ball better, who's going to be able to provide more value off the ball, and who's flat out better, it's Jordan Poole.
I just don't see them benching Wiggins. I'd just be really shocked if they did that, but we'll see.
I don't think they'll actually bench Wiggins because of his contract. But I mean, thinking about it, that might be the right move because of Klay Thompson's ability. Because I don't think he's gonna have the same lateral quickness, or really, as a whole, I don't think he'll be as good as a defender as he was. Because I mean, he'll still have the rotations, and the intangibles and all that, but I don't think it's gonna fully translate to him being one of the best man defenders in the league. And I want to touch on the Warriors quick, but one thing I want to say about Gary Payton, he shouldn't be benched, and he's really this team's Bruce Brown, I feel like. I mean, they play kind of different roles. I mean, they're both great defenders, both great cutters in that sense. But as a whole, impact-wise, I think they're pretty much the same for two contending teams in their respective conferences. I think they play the same role with the same impact. But as a whole with this Warriors team, I'll keep it quick. I think Jordan Poole should probably be the one to move to the bench. I understand the Wiggins argument, but I think Poole as a whole, that's a guy that off the bench, he could come in, and he could play off ball. He could also create for himself, and I think that's his best role. I think the closing lineup should be a group of Curry, Poole, Thompson, Wiggins, and Draymond, but I don't think that as a whole that's going to be their starting lineup. I think probably the guy that will get cut is unfortunately Damian Lee, who's playing great when he's played this season. But as a whole, I think Juan Toscano-Anderson will definitely get cut as well. Damian Lee will get cut out of their rotation. I think that's probably the way, and probably Gary Payton as well once Wiseman comes back, which, again, as Thomas said, he should be in the G League. Even though I'm higher on him than a lot of people are, I think he should be in the G League for the simple reason that he's not ready to come in and enter the system right away. But that's fully what I think. I think Klay will most likely start over Jordan Poole, and I think that's what they should do.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. Like the Warriors, I don't really care what their starting lineup is, as long as their closing lineup at the end of games, and really just for the better part of the fourth quarter, is Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green. And Draymond Green, you don't need a big. I mean, I guess, you need some more size like in Looney or Wiseman to play like sporadic minutes throughout the game. But like to close the game, Draymond Green is probably the favorite for defensive play of the year. He's up there right now. And the Warriors they have the best defense in the NBA, primarily because of Draymond Green. So you're fine on that end. Like you don't need a big to protect the rim. You have Draymond Green, who's just incredible and one of the best defenders of this generation. And like you said, Steph Curry Steph Curry can dominate the ball sometimes, but he kind of does both. Like he's dominates off ball and on ball. And he's just the unicorn in that aspect. Klay Thompson can dominate off the ball. And so, in that kind of a lineup, Justin, I believe that was the lineup that you said, right? Yeah, and that's just a lineup where it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's like, the Hamptons 5, but it's kind of like a miniature version of that, especially if Jordan Poole is as hot as he can be. But for overall in the Warriors, I would say they're the favorites in the West. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, they have the best defensive rating by quite a big margin so far, mixed with, the offensive firepower, at least the nucleus of the offensive firepower that fueled multiple runs to the NBA Finals. So combine those two things, and they're winning. They're 10-1. And give me a break about their schedule. I don't care. I mean, they've beaten some pretty solid teams, and it's just look at them play. And this is so clearly a contending team, and they still have a Hall of Famer in the waiting room, ready to return in about a month. So just give me a break about their schedule. The Golden State Warriors, I think they're probably favorites out of the West, and Kyrie Irving with the Brooklyn Nets. So maybe they aren't. If he does return to the Nets, then maybe they aren't the favorites overall. But they're certainly up there, and I have them a hard time putting them outside of my top 3 or top 5 when it comes to championship contention. But we're going to move on to our next topic.
They definitely are right now the favorites in the West. As we speak today, they are the favorites.
Yeah, and I'll mention this because this is not really it is. It's related to another team that's I thought was going to be very high in the West. The 8-4 Utah Jazz. My 70-win Jazz prediction is just not looking good because the Jazz are kind of struggling right now.
Can I go?
I wanted to mention the Jazz. I had to call myself out. They're not playing very well. And the 71 Jazz hot take, by the way, is aging like milk so far.
Can I go one step farther with the Warriors before we move on?
Sure.
Right now, as of today, I mean, it could change. I think it all depends on Kyrie Irving's status. As of now, I would take them as the championship favorite. As of
That's
right
not
now.
crazy. That's not a
Yeah,
crazy
that's
take.
fair.
I don't think it is at all.
Yeah, I would say they're probably better. Like with Klay Thompson, they're probably better than like a Nets team without Kyrie Irving. But yeah, let's move on to our next topic. It's going to be really basically our rookie stock watch part 2. We did this a couple weeks ago, initially getting our first impressions. We're going to do this every few weeks. This one we're going to do, who's impressed us, who's disappointed us. We'll each give a player. Thomas, I'll start with you. You're our NBA draft guy, the biggest NBA draft guy that I know, and especially at TWSN. So Thomas, give us who's impressed you. Just one guy who's impressed you so far from this rookie class, and one guy who's disappointed you since our last time talking about this.
So for my first guy, and this is someone I noticed hasn't really been talked about a ton as one of the better rookies, but I would say I think pretty clearly there's 5 rookies that have been like the best 5 rookies in whatever order, with Mobley, Barnes, Duarte, Franz, and Giddey. I think those have pretty clearly been the best 5 guys. But someone I've really been impressed with outside of that is Herb Jones from the New Orleans Pelicans. And the reason I want to bring Herb Jones up is because he was looking like a solid starter already when he had to fill in as one of the starting players for the Pelicans for the past 2 weeks. I was really, really impressed with what I saw out of him. His defense is already amazing. His offense wasn't super consistent, but he had enough production to where him being out there was worthwhile. I think he's been probably the 6th best rookie because I think his defense has been ridiculously good already. He's had a couple solid scoring nights, showing off his passing vision as well. And the defense is obviously his calling card. He's been incredible on that end of the floor. I really can't say enough about him. So I really do think he has been one of my favorites to watch. I really do think he's been sensational for the Pelicans. For a disappointment, this is tricky. I'm not going to go with Jalen Greene because I feel like Jalen Greene kind of gets harped on a lot. I'm still disappointed in Franz. I mean, not Franz, Jalen Suggs. I'll just say that. They're certainly not Franz, of course.
I mean, I guess if you want Franz to be like an MVP player.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he'll be an MVP next year. But
okay.
Suggs, I just what I expected from him was I thought he was going to be a guy that comes in right away, makes an instant impact. Is already a solid starter in year 1. And so far, it's still early, but he has been anything but that throughout his first 12 games. Just really inefficient from basically everywhere on the floor except the free throw line. His passing's been good. His defense has been okay, I suppose. But the scoring struggles, which weren't hard to see. I didn't think that was like I had Suggs lower on my board than by a significant amount than most because I was concerned kind of a little bit about the scoring. But I didn't see it being this bad. And I thought at the very least he was going to be a guy that can contribute right away. And he has contributed, but he's also been very, very inefficient. He's had some rough defensive nights. So I've been a little disappointed in him, but I also should have tempered my expectations with him because I knew there would be scoring struggles, but for whatever reason, I decided to overlook them. But he has disappointed me a little bit.
All right.
So, my bad, Jacob.
Sorry, I'm gonna be short and sweet, so I'm not gonna give you this, bogged down analysis. It's not what I'm here for. I would say that Mobley's good, Scottie Barnes is good, Wagner's good, Duarte's really good. The rest of them suck.
Josh Giddey. You forgot Josh Giddey.
He's fine. He plays for a minor league, plays for a G League team. I mean, the Thunder. Are they trying? Are they trying to lose? I mean,
you cannot talk about trying to lose after the Knicks purposely.
No,
against the Lakers. So
no,
you got that.
No. Settle down. Anyway, most of this draft class is garbage. They've been terrible so far. They defy logic with how bad all their percentages are with shooting. It's almost like they want to be bad. And yeah, it almost seems like they all need to go back to school, hit a book, figure out how to play ball again. And yeah, but otherwise,
Jacob.
What?
Jacob.
No mercy.
Come on.
Why do we have to
The
pat them on the back?
disrespect.
You're jealous you don't have a top rookie for the first
No,
time.
I'm not. I don't really
There
care.
we go.
Preach,
first
Jacob.
time
I don't
in 30
really
years.
care.
Not, not
I agree
Jacob,
with that theory,
Justin.
Justin. I
No,
agree
it's
with
all
that
you make
theory.
is about the Knicks. I really don't care. I just
Obi Toppin is not
He's mad
exceeding your
that Deuce
expectations.
McBride
Obi Toppin has
isn't helping
been
the team.
fine.
He's been
this
great.
year.
He's been great, but he's not
Thank
exceeding
you.
your expectations. So you're jealous.
Wow.
I'm really not just like this. Is nothing.
This was one of the best classes in recent memory too when it
They're
came to
rookies.
depth.
rookies.
too.
Here's the thing,
Not
too.
to be all-star players in year one.
Here's the thing. Most rookies aren't good year one anyways.
Right, like,
Yeah, but
Like, that's
they're,
just the
they're all,
reality.
like,
like
terrible.
we have to adjust the scales here. Like we're not like if we're talking like are these guys good NBA players? Like Evan Mobley, I would say is
I
a very
said
good
Evan
NBA player
Mobley.
already. Scottie Barnes is.
I said
Josh Giddey
Scottie Barnes.
is a really good rookie, but is he like close to an all-star player? No, but like he's great for
All
a
right,
rookie.
listen. All right, fine. I'm being
So
a little
for rookie
early.
expectations, that's what we're
It's a
judging.
little
Yeah, wait,
premature.
exactly. Jacob. In the backstage today, you were talking about how it's only been 10 games, and it's only been 10 games. How can
Got
you
you there.
judge an entire draft class
Got
of
you there.
60 players plus undrafted free agents based off the first 10 games of their rookie season when it takes some NBA players 3 years to even become average?
So far, all caps. So far, it is not. Nothing.
Also,
And I quote,
he's
it's
gotten
been
burned in the
10
past with Kevin
games.
Knox and Obi Toppin. And these
Here's the
guys
thing,
are-
Jacob.
Why do you keep bringing up the Knicks? I'm not even bringing up the Knicks, and you boys keep bringing up the Knicks. Enough.
Here's the
Um,
thing. Here's the
Stop
thing,
bringing up
Jacob.
old wounds. I can't take it.
I'm not gonna bring up the Knicks.
Thank God.
And I do agree that so far, I agree if you say so far, yeah. So most of them
all
have
caps
not-
so far. I mean, Jaylen Suggs. Like it's almost like he wants to get cut. I really don't get how you can shoot that bad.
Yeah, but when you say they should have gone back to school and hit a book, that's where I disagree. That is where I think it goes a little.
I mean,
Yeah, like maybe they should just go in practice and try harder or something.
well,
like
yeah,
that.
well, practice. Work. They got to work.
I think
How's
I can
reading
name
a book
eight.
gonna help?
Well,
think
maybe
I
it would. I don't know. Maybe you'll get.
And
their
you need to work on
basketball
your
IQ.
empathy skills.
What is?
I
this,
think I
therapy?
need. I
Come
think I
on.
can name 8 good rookies so far. For
right.
rookies, I think they're
Please.
Fine.
Go
all right,
ahead.
Hold
Go
on,
ahead.
hold on. Let
Go
me say
ahead.
one more thing. Let me say one more thing. All right. I exaggerated a little bit. All right. I did. But otherwise, I'm not going to apologize for Jack. You know what? I'm really not. I mean, these guys don't need to be patted on the ass anymore. Pardon my language. Patted on the behind. They're grown men. Well, some of them are. Some of them are like.
But they're actually
Some of them
pretty
are
good.
some of
Hold
them
on,
are
some
3
of
or
them
4
are
years
5
younger
years
than
old.
you, Jacob.
Not really. Like Cade Cunningham's.
All right, well, I guess he's
We're not
fine,
thinking
but,
of
you know.
Cade, but there's a lot of good rookies so far.
Fine.
There's
They're
been a
fine.
lot. They're good. They're good.
Whatever.
They deserve it.
Whatever.
No, Justin, I want to hear your list of 8 rookies who have been good.
All right.
Please.
I actually have. I mean, this might not be everyone, but the guys that I have so far, no order: Scottie Barnes, Evan Mobley, Franz Wagner, Chris Duarte, Josh Giddey, Davion Mitchell, Alfred Shengun, and Herb Jones. That's 8. And there's probably more. So that's it. And that's not even counting Cade Cunningham so far and Jaylen Greene, who are going to probably bounce back. And Jaylen.
Right.
Write down those names, Jacob.
The thing is, like, so I'll like say this, or with Justin, did you have like a disappointment that you wanted to point out, or?
Oh, it's Jaylen Greene, but I'll talk about it later.
Okay. I was just gonna say this, like, I think like Cade Cunningham and Jaylen Greene have been like, I guess they've been disappointments, but like they've also, I think people are like over exaggerating it a little bit, like by just saying, like, I don't know, I just like they've been. For rookie standards, they've been fine. For like their over, like for the number 1 pick standards, Cade hasn't been that good so far. I guess you could say that. And Jaylen Greene for number 2 pick standards also maybe hasn't been that good. But like they've been like fine basketball players so far. I think over exaggerating, especially with Cade Cunningham. But I mean, Nader, what was going to be your disappointing player and your surprising or impressive player?
Well, I just want to, with all the negativity that was already said and done during this segment, I think I might just do some surprising players or players that I think just deserve a little, like pat on the back. as Jacob said, that they shouldn't get. So the two guys that I just wanted to shout out real quick, definitely Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes, he was my favorite player and in this draft class. And people constantly said, oh, he's a robot on offense. He's not, mechanically sound. He cannot shoot. And obviously, his 3-point shot isn't too good. I'll admit that 20% is not ideal. But this dude can orchestrate an offense and he can sure defend. Like, he is a jack of all trades player. Not necessarily like his, not in the sense like that, but Draymond Green was my pro comparison for him. He doesn't play identical to Draymond Green because I believe that he's more of an offensive. Actually, he actually does play a bit like Draymond. He can initiate an offense. He could definitely defend, although he's nowhere near the caliber where Draymond is, of course, because Draymond is one of the best, if not the best defender of our generation. But he can orchestrate an offense. He's shown that he has the ability to make athletic plays. He can drive. He can defend on ball and off ball, make proper switches. There's just nothing not to like about Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes has been fantastic. And also, no bias here, Ayo Dosunmu. Ayo Dosunmu, although he hasn't been getting a lot of playing time, when he gets playing time and when he's on, there's no player. Well, I won't say that, but there's a lot of guys who he's better than in this rookie class. Ayo is just the thing that many people were worried about when it came to him was the fact that he's good at everything and great at nothing. But I mean, that play style has transitioned great. He can defend, he can shoot, he can initiate for himself on offense. He can just go with the flow of the game and help the team's chemistry when it comes to, passing and creating shots for other people. I just think that he's just a fantastic player to plug into any lineup off the Bulls bench and just initiate offense and keep the flow going. Because this Bulls team is a fast-paced team. Whether you like to admit it or not, we play fast. We like fast breaks. We're great in the transition. And I just think that Ayo fits our team really perfectly. So those are my two rookies that I wanted to give a shout out to.
Can I give a deep cut, Will, as someone who a little bit in the limited minutes that I've seen, I've liked Delano Banton from the Raptors. There was a clip someone tweeted of the other day. It was like Delano Banton's ground coverage is absurd, and I'll send it to you guys after the show. But it was like he rotated. He was on the opposite wing. He rotated from the next wing to the corner and blocked a three like 25 feet into the stands. And he covered ground in like 2 seconds, probably less. Like it was crazy. He's been a much better scorer than I anticipated. His passing is really good. His defense is solid, actually. He's a really weird player. Like, he's really skinny. He's got really long arms. But like, he's been pretty effective. And he's kind of a weird one, but I think he's an NBA player for probably 10 years because I think he does a lot of positive things when he's on the floor.
I love that. Banton is like the typical Raptors guy. He's the typical Raptors guy. But I want to talk about one of the main guys that everyone's talking about, but I just want to shine more light on him because, I mean, he's obviously getting the spotlight because he's, I think, definitely been the best rookie so far. Scottie Barnes has an argument, but I would go with this guy over him. But it's Evan Mobley. The reason why I want to talk about him more is because although he is getting the love, I feel like with rookies or even young players just in general, people are just too premature to the point where if someone's playing at a historical rate, they don't really notice it. Evan Mobley obviously is not playing at a historical rate, but for a rookie, I think he's been one of the best rookies I've seen so far, and there's really no reason for that to slow down at all. Offensively, he's been great. He hasn't been the best rookie on offense. I would give that to Scottie Barnes, but he's still a pretty close second, and he's been great on that end as an off-ball threat, as a lob threat, screen setter. As a whole, it's been great. His playmaking has been pretty good too, and as a scorer, I've liked what I've seen from him. But as a defender, Evan Mobley has played as a top 10 defender in the NBA so far, in my opinion, and potentially even higher. And he's a rookie. And as a whole, he's been the reason Cleveland has surprised so many people. He's the reason they're a 5 seed, I believe. And although I think they're going to slow it down, especially with Sexton getting hurt, going to be out most of the year, Evan Mobley's been by far their best player on that team. And they are a good basketball team that has play-in aspirations. So Evan Mobley, I mean, outside of I'm probably forgetting some names, but outside of Luka Doncic and some other guys, he's the best rookie I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, When it comes to Banton, his length just helps him in so many areas of the game. And every time I watch the Toronto Raptors play, like he makes a play where I'm like, ooh, like whoa. I learned his name like in the first game of the season. I was like, oh wow, okay, who's this dude? And it's like every time I watch the Toronto Raptors play a game, he just shows up with like one or two just really intriguing plays where I'm like, wow, you don't really see too many guys in the league do this. A lot of it is just because of his length of ground coverage, as you mentioned. I think my impressive player, though, is going to be Alfred Shengun. Alfred Shengun's been pretty solid. He's shooting 41% from three. Now his volume, I mean, he's only taking 1.2 attempts. But, like, still, Alfred Shengun, like, wasn't that good. I mean, his shooting, he kind of had some shooting touch last year in the Turkish Super League. But, there was definitely some flashes. But it's good to see that he's progressing in that area. His passing, according to advanced metrics, again, the volume is just completely skewed here, but like according to advanced passing metrics, Alfred Shingoo ranks as like one of the best passing big men in the league. Now, is he one of the best passing? No, but like, I mean, that's really encouraging to see. And again, his playmaking potential was a huge reason I was higher on him. I'm not going to even say I was higher on him most because like pre-draft Alfred Shengun was either like a top 10 or like a second round pick. Like if there's just like seemingly no in between. I mean, I had him in between that. It was just really weird. So I don't even really know if I'm in like the pro or anti-camp with him. I like to think I'm in the pro camp when it comes to Alfred Shengun, especially because he's my most improved. And his defense. I should say this. His defense has also been better. He's been guarding in space better. It's 1.7 steals. And I know steals isn't like the best metric to pay or stat to pay attention to, but like 1.7 steals per game for Alfred Shengun is like, I would have not expected that. I would have expected him to be like less than one steal a game in his rookie season, especially in the first part of his rookie season. And then disappointing player, I'll make this really quick though. It's probably going to be Trey Murphy III because he came in as like, I mean, his defense has been fine, but like his 3-point shooting, he's shooting 33% from three. And that's like not what the Pelicans drafted him to be. They wanted him to be just better, a spot-up shooter. Spot-up shooting has just been league average. And again, he came in as a league-ready prospect. That's not what you expect from a league-ready prospect. So I think Trey Murphy III is probably going to be my disappointing rookie. But, I mean, I'm sure he'll get things going. It's just kind of a slow start when it comes to his 3-point shooting.
One thing I wanted to say about Sengun is that I found it hilarious how, like, when I would look at draft boards before the draft, Sengun was either top 5 or, like, outside the top 45.
Yeah, it was really weird.
And I was like, what is going on? Like, the people who, like, really, like, focused on the analytics for the NBA draft loved him. Like, had him top 5, top, like, 4, like, honestly. And then the people who, like more watched the film and more were like team strategy based, I guess, were just completely out on him. I just thought the whole thing was hilarious, which is kind of random.
Yeah, for sure. So let's move on to our next topic. Second to last topic is going to be MVP candidates. I think we're kind of at the point of the season where we can kind of like formulate it. A week ago it was kind of tough. There's just so many guys who are playing really well. And there's, like we mentioned last week, plenty of guys like Dame and Tatum and Donovan Mitchell who weren't playing very well. So it's just the field was pretty crowded. But now I think we have a better look. We're starting to get a better look at like the actual candidates. Steph Curry, wasn't really I would think like a serious candidate until he dropped 50 and then has been playing great ever since then. But we're going to go through here, and Nader, I'll start with you on this one. Who's your current league leader for MVP, aka the best player who's played this season?
Well, although I'm not fully ready to say who's the best, I just wanted to touch on one specific candidate in like the top 5, if that's okay. I'm going to be just talking a bit about Steph Curry. And, Steph Curry, he came in second last year in MVP voting, although I personally believe that he should have won. I understand his team didn't even make the playoffs through the play-in tournament, and they lost 2 games in the play-in tournament and all that. But, he's been just playing phenomenal. And although he looked to have, taken a bit to get into a rhythm, Steph Curry is back where he was at last year, or at least he's on track to get there. He was having one of the best statistical seasons ever from a point guard, offensive seasons ever from a player, not actually just a point guard, from a player. His box creation was elite. His shooting was elite. His playmaking was elite. Every aspect of his game was elite. There was nothing that he didn't do. He was even a neutral defender last year after being considered what many thought would be sort of a negative. But with his MVP race, if Steph can even get in the top 5, this is just fueling what I would like to call, his, race to the finish towards the end of his career. That's proving that he is, in my opinion, the greatest point guard to ever play the game. Many people said that Steph needed another 2 to 3 years of elite play in order for them to finally beat out Magic Johnson. If Steph were to retire now, I would still believe that he's the best point guard of all time. But this is definitely helping the consensus, believe that Stephen Curry is eventually, when he retires, going to be considered the best point guard of all time. It doesn't matter if he finishes second. It doesn't matter if he finishes 5th, 3rd, 4th, even if he wins the MVP. It's not about that for Stephen Curry and the long-term things. Of course, when you're just talking about the season, of course, it's a desire to want to win the MVP. But if Steph can have a top 5 season, which he's on pace to have, this is definitely helping the argument for him to retire as the best point guard of all time. So I just found this little storyline interesting because this is just more about than just this season for Steph.
Yeah, the guy I want to touch on is he's not my MVP pick either, but he's like an inch away from it, and that's Nicole Yokic. We touched on the whole Marquis Morris thing earlier, but as a player, I mean, Jokic, his impact, first of all, he might be the most impactful player in the NBA. And as a whole, this Nuggets team, they have not been good at all. But they're still 7-4 at the 5th seed. And they did win without Jokic when he was suspended against the Indiana Pacers, which I really don't know how that happened. But the Nuggets have not been good whatsoever outside of Nikola Jokic. And Jokic, his assist numbers have been down, but the main reason to that is because no one around him is really capitalizing other than Will Barton and to an extent Aaron Gordon. No one else is really knocking down their shots or capitalizing. Michael Porter Jr. has disappointed me so much. I thought he would be an all-star. I thought he'd be in potentially all-NBA conversations. And after that big extension,
some expectations.
After that big extension, he has fallen flat on his face, and it's been hard to watch. And for a lot of periods of time in the season, he's been a liability on the floor. And Nikola Jokic has kept them afloat, and even better than that. I mean, first of all, I want to touch on his defense. He's played pretty great on the defensive end this season, and I don't know if that's going to maintain itself, but the Nuggets have been great defensively, and a lot of that is due to Jokic, surprisingly. And Jokic, his offense, he's, I would probably say, the 3rd best offensive player in the league right now behind Curry and Durant, maybe over Kevin Durant. But Jokic's scoring is so underrated. People think of him as just this playmaking center. He's a guy that gets you 25, 30 every night simply due to the fact that when he gets down low, there's really no stopping him at that point. You could throw 3, 4, 5 guys at him. There's no stopping him. And really, for Nikola Jokic, the last thing I want to touch on is it's not even just this season. He's been doing this for years upon years, just getting better every single year. And I think he's playing better than his year last year when he won MVP. I think we need to seriously start talking about Nikola Jokic, not just in top 5 conversations in the NBA. Top 3. Top 3. I don't know if they're yet.
Best in the NBA.
Maybe soon. Not yet. That's a little too far right now, but maybe soon. Give it another year or two. Maybe. I think he needs to be in that top 3 conversation. I have him over LeBron right now. I have him over LeBron at number 4, slightly behind Curry, Giannis, and Durant. He's a little behind that tier. I think that's a pretty clear top 3, but he's not far behind at all. And if he finishes as a top 3 player in the league, I would not be surprised.
But before we cycle through for the rest of this, I want to just say this with the Jokic. Whenever people mention Nikola Jokic might be the best player in the NBA, or even bring up the thought, or that he's a candidate for that, not really real fake award. People just get really mad for no reason. It's just people just get unnecessarily mad when anyone mentions that Nikola Jokic might be the best player in the NBA, and it's I'm sorry, but he's been playing like it for how many years is it going to take for us to be
it's the defense. People say he can't defend, so although he's not a terrible defender, he's definitely not an extreme positive, but it's just something that people will never view him as an elite defender. So it takes it.
There was definitely some rough times in last year's playoffs where it's his defense was pretty bad, but that's number one. It's a combination of just elite offensive guards like Damian Lillard. They're just going to be able to pick on Jokic when he's in a draw, like in a ball screen coverage. Like because he's Damian Lillard. When he's hot, like no one's gonna stop him. So it's like Nicole Yokic just can't do anything about that. On average, like Nicole Yokic is about a neutral defender. But it's just in playoff situations sometimes. It's kind of like when people criticize like Steph Curry for not being able to guard like an elite offensive guard and James Harden on the other end of the court in one-on-one defense. Like, yeah, no duh. But that doesn't make Steph Curry a liability, and neither is Nicole Jokic. My only point here is just like, I don't understand. It's just a weird thing when anyone mentions Nicole Jokic as possibly the best player in the league. People just get unnecessarily mad. It's just like, no, there's no way. Absolutely not. It's just like, no,
Even top
he's
five.
starting to get in that conversation. How much more do you want to see from him? I don't understand it at this point.
Even top 5, and Jokic is a top 5 lock to me, but no one else takes it seriously.
Let's keep this thing going.
All right.
Jacob, give me your MVP.
There's only one answer to this darn question, and it's Paul George. All right? It's Paul George. And I don't want to hear everyone crying, shaking their head, whining.
I'm not crying.
I told all of you. And everyone laughed. They said, oh, Paul George, what's he going to do about that Kawhi? Paul George doesn't show up in the playoffs. Well, first of all, it's a regular season award. I don't care if he doesn't score a point in the darn playoffs. It's a regular season award, and Paul George has shown up this year. That is not debatable. He has been amazing this year. 26 points a game, 2.5 steals a game. His assist numbers are up. His rebound numbers are up. It's all up. The Clippers, I think, are on a 6-game winning streak. He's played a huge part in that. He deserves all the credit in the world. I am not here for any Paul George slander. I feel validated because, again, I really believe in Paul George because I think he's a complete package. He's an amazing player. And, if they had Kawhi last year, they would have won the whole thing. I firmly believe that. That's how good I thought the Clippers were last year. They would have won the whole thing if they had Kawhi. They would have beat Phoenix and they would have beat Milwaukee. I don't care what anyone says. And yes, I think he should be the MVP. This Clippers team around him is not very good. It's a lot of like B+, B- players around it. Reggie Jackson, meh. Batum, meh. It's all a bunch of meh. And he's carrying it on his back. He's doing it. It's exactly what Westbrook did the year he won the MVP and he averaged a triple-double. It's very, very similar. As I mentioned when I backed up why I believe he should be the MVP, he will have a season where he's going to be like Westbrook about 4 years ago where he had to carry the team on his back to the playoffs. Paul George is going to do the exact same thing, and there's no way he should not be MVP if the season ended right now. And he's going to win MVP. You can lock it in.
Not going to be not my personal MVP pick right now, but Jimmy Butler, I think, deserves a mention. So far, he's been pretty easily the best non-big defender in the NBA. His offense has been really good as well. He's been scoring super efficiently. His playmaking has been very good. His off-ball activity, as always, on the offensive end of the floor is tremendous. The Heat are looking fantastic. They're truly looking incredible right now. So I think Jimmy Butler, like I talked about it last week, 2 weeks ago, how I thought he was, this could be peak Jimmy Butler that we're currently seeing. And then it's time to start including him in top 10 conversations. And so far, nothing's really changed. I think Jimmy Butler is probably a top 10 player right now and is definitely a top 5 MVP candidate. And I don't know if he's 5.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, the guy I'm gonna pick is Kevin Durant, and look, I don't usually like to be the guy who just reads all the stats as just my only evidence, but I feel like in this instance, all I really need to is read Kevin Durant's stats that he's putting up this year, and my case is pretty valid to argue for Kevin Durant. He's leading the league in scoring. He's Kevin Durant. You expect that. 29.5 points, 58% from the field, 40% from three. 83% from the line. His percentages are ridiculous. I'm going to keep going with his percentages. 67% true shooting, which is 12% above league average, which is just historically great. And if we want to even get even more specific, he's shooting 65% on just his 2-point shots alone, 81% at the rim, 71% on long twos. That's an ungodly number. his efficiency from every level of the floor is just, I mean, I can't even, I want to say like the word is elite, but it's not really elite. It's just the best. So Kevin Durant's scoring is amazing. And I mean, his defense and playmaking isn't exactly like great, but I would say he's pretty solid. He's solid enough to where it's like his scoring carries him to clearly a candidate to be the best player in the league and a clear MVP candidate basically every year that he's doing stuff like this. Kevin Durant's my pick. But we'll see how this all shakes out. We're going to finish off the show with a debate, a little bit of a scheduled debate. You know, some of our debates are impromptu, just off the cuff. This one is not going to be, it's going to be a scheduled debate. Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves are reeling. And, this is a team that we had quite different opinions on. I'm just going to kind of recap. Jacob had them as the 14 seed preseason, and I believe Justin had them as the 6 seed. Right now, they've lost 6 straight games after going 3-1, so they're 3-7. So they're closer to what Jacob is saying. But Justin, I want to start with you on this one. Talk to me about the Wolves and what you've seen. Why are they struggling? Let's first answer that. Like, why are they struggling? But then also, do you have faith that they're going to bounce back? Are you still going to continue with your so pro Timberwolves take that you had just a few weeks ago?
Wait, sorry. Before you guys, sorry about that. But before you guys start, I just wanted to say that's a whole playoff slate of a difference. That's 8 different teams from 14 to 6.
That's why we're having this debate, because Justin.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit back for a while unless Jacob says something out of pocket, and I'm gonna let you two go at it. So go ahead.
Okay, so with the Minnesota Timberwolves, first I'll answer why they're struggling. I mean, first of all, their defense hasn't looked good. I thought their defense would be passable. It just hasn't been great at all. Towns has looked pretty good on defense. He's looked better than last year, and last year he looked like he was improving. But outside of him, really, and Jaden McDaniels, they haven't looked good at all on that end, and I don't really expect that to change. And also, D'Angelo Russell's been very inconsistent. Malik Beasley hasn't been great or as good as I thought he would be. So those are the 2 main reasons, I think. I don't think it has anything to do with their coaching. I don't think it has anything to do with their talent. I think it has to do with their defense and D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley, 2 key players, not living up to expectations. But with the Timberwolves, let me just read their losses through this losing streak. So they lost to Denver by 2 points. I mean, that's obviously it's a loss, but I mean, at the same time, they could have easily won that against a good NBA team. They lost to the Magic by almost 20, which, all right, I'm not going to talk about that one. That one should not have happened. But
Is that Franz dropped the 30 piece on them? Just checking.
That
was
Franz, like the Timberwolves, has also been very disappointing.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure. Keep going.
Okay, so that happened. And then they played the Clippers on a back-to-back. Well, they played them 2 games in a row. The second game they did lose by 20. In the first one they lost by 11. But in the first game, the Timberwolves did look pretty good. It's just the defense, as I said. The defense did not look good in that game. That's probably their worst defensive outing this season. Against the Grizzlies, they were pretty close. They went into overtime. Cat had that huge shot. And against the Warriors, I mean, they were pretty close throughout the game. But this is the best team in the league as of right now. So it's not the biggest loss in the world. I'm not as pro Timberwolves as I was before the year because, again, I thought the defense would be passable, and I didn't expect D'Angelo Russell to be this inconsistent. I also didn't expect Malik Beasley to not really contribute. But I still think they're a playing team. I still definitely think they're a playing team because I think this is a team that, first of all, I didn't have them starting good at all. I didn't think they would be this bad, but I didn't have them starting great. I thought around under 500 to maybe 500. That's how they would start the first 10 games. They've started off worse than that, but I think this is a team that we start to see surge towards the middle half and end of the year. I think that once they really get this chemistry, because this team, contrary to popular belief, they haven't really played much together at all throughout their 2-3 years together as a core. They haven't really played much at all together. So I think once they start gelling and once they start getting more chemistry, they're going to start winning some more games. And Anthony Edwards has looked like a star. Karl-Anthony Towns has kind of cooled off since the beginning of the year, but I think he's going to pick it up. D'Angelo Russell, I think his inconsistencies will still be there, but I think he'll bounce back a tiny bit. Malik Beasley, I think, definitely bounces back. And as a whole, yeah, this team, I'll say it right now, they're not going to finish as a 6 seed. I was wrong on that. But I still have them in the race for 8 to 10, and I think they're a playing team because I think they have enough talent. I think the coaching's there. I think they're definitely going to be a playing team still. And I mean, looking back at my 6 take, this could easily backfire on me. But even despite this rough start, I don't think their season's over whatsoever.
Yeah, it's over. Sorry, Minnesota. Sorry that you guys have been terrible for a long time. Pack your bags, get the tickets to Cabo, get your family vacations ready.
How's it over? It's 10 games. You were the one that was like, "Oh, it's only 10 games."
How many times are you boys gonna bring that up tonight?
Yeah, but you're the one that says it's over.
That is never escaping you, Jacob. We'll use it for every single quote. So we're at the 30-game mark.
Anyway, the thing that worries me about this team is that they're actually a little bit better defensively than they were last year, which is not saying much because they were it's almost like they closed their eyes every time they played defense last year. But this year, the offense has been down. They're not scoring as many points, and that's a problem because when they play no defense like they do, they just play it's like the Mike D'Antoni formula all over again. It's hard to win when you get up 115 points, a lot. Hard to win when you get up 120 points a lot. That's just part of the problem. And D'Angelo Russell has been really inefficient this year. He's shooting 38% from the field. He doesn't play any defense. He never has. It's funny how he talks about, remember when, if people that don't know, there was a video of him when he was young, and he was talking about Blake Griffin. He said he didn't even stretch, though. Well, D'Angelo Russell, I don't think has ever stretched on defense because that's why he's so bad, because he doesn't try. It would be nice if he tried. Poor Karl-Anthony Towns needs to get out of there. Come to New York. We will love you. We will take great care of you.
Come, Cat to OKC. I'm starting it. We're starting it.
He's not
Cat
gonna,
to OKC.
He doesn't want to go to another team.
Karl-Anthony Towns to DC. Cat to DC.
Yes.
Cat to Chicago.
Anyway, I don't know. This will also, why is Jaden? What is Jaden McDaniel supposed to do? Why is he starting?
Play defense.
He's that good at defense because he doesn't seem to do anything else very good. He can't rebound.
His offense is not good. I'll admit that.
He has 4 rebounds a game. He's a power forward. I mean, how is that possible?
Tell us how you really feel, Jacob.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's just like a nothing guy. It's like a bad Alfred Camino.
Listen, I wasn't going to engage in this debate, but Jaden McDaniel slander is occurring, and now I'm stepping in. All right.
Justice Nasri needs to play more minutes, and then they'll start winning. But the problem is he doesn't. He needs to play more minutes. He needs to play more. He needs to play more.
Listen, Karl-Anthony Towns is going to request a trade by the deadline. It's going to happen.
He should.
He should. Yes. He should have requested a trade for a while, but I think soon he's going to request a trade. And although he probably does not want to come to OKC, he probably won't come to OKC. OKC has a really good package. You can deny it all you want, but they can throw 5,000 picks at
Listen, he deserved better. Don't you want him to win?
Listen,
don't you want him to succeed?
Listen,
don't you want to get a taste
That's
of the
selfish,
glory?
Thomas.
Listen. I just said before all of that I don't think he will come to OKC, and I don't think he should come to OKC because if he wants to win right now, obviously.
But come to the Bulls.
I'm saying the package is enticing. I don't think the Knicks have a good enough package. I'm sorry. Unless you want to trade Randall, which I mean maybe you do, but that doesn't make any sense. You just
it doesn't. What does that accomplish? Cat isn't going to carry your worthless franchise to a championship
by trading Randall. I don't. Anyways, the Warriors would be really nice. That's all I'll say right now.
Yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns goes to the Warriors. They're
think about it.
It's over.
Think about it. Wiseman, Moody, Kuminga. You got 3 of those guys. Send Wiggins back to Minnesota. Okay?
I'm sorry. That's pretty enticing.
That is. Okay? You can.
Yeah. So instead,
if you want to get crazy, you could throw in Poole as well. If you want to get crazy, you can put in Poole. They have so much. They
should do that. If it's Karl-Anthony Towns, come on, just. I
Wait,
think it's nice, but
I'm just saying.
Karl-Anthony Towns with Steph Curry.
I want to go back to Jacob because it feels like we're not giving him the slander that he deserves. Karl-Anthony Towns is gone soon. I think he's gone this offseason.
I love Karl-Anthony Towns. I love him.
No, it has nothing to do with Karl-Anthony Towns. It has nothing to do with Karl-Anthony Towns.
Did I say it does?
First of all, I'm going to bring back the 10 games thing a little bit more because it's only 10 games. The Wolves' defense has not looked good. Their offense has been disappointing. But this team, again, through 2-3 years, they've barely been on the floor together, and they still have a whole 72 games to play together. I think they're gonna find it by like game 30.
Maybe there's a
game 40,
reason for that. Maybe
groove.
Cat and D'Lo are not meant to be together. I don't know. I know that sounds
Maybe
like
not.
I'm talking about The
D'Angelo
Bachelor.
Russell.
I mean, I know
D'Angelo
this isn't talking about like a dating show, but
Maybe-
maybe they're just not meant to
They're
be
like a
together.
married
I don't
couple
know.
or something.
Maybe this is
Yeah.
the universe's sign that Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo
They have
Russell are not
there's an
together.
invisible restraining order between those two because it's amazing how they just don't play together at all. It's like oh he's
I don't
hurt. No,
even-
he's hurt.
I don't think that's how it
He's
works,
hurt.
Jacob.
Yeah, I don't even think that's what it is. I just don't think D'Angelo Russell is very good anymore. I don't think he's really been very good. His All-Star year was great in Brooklyn, but that was like where he had everything perfectly around him. Everything was catered to him. That was a great situation, but I don't think he's ever going to be in a situation like that again. I don't think he's very good. I think if anything, they should trade him before Cat loses his mind with all this losing. Because I mean, Cat will get mad at them trading D'Lo, obviously, but I mean they're going to win more without him. And depending on the package, it'll help them get maybe further than the play-in, so into the playoffs. So I think this team just needs to find their groove, Jacob. I think you need to give them time because this team has
Are they?
undeniable talent.
No, I
Huh?
believe you. I think they have a lot of talent, but the question is, do you have that much confidence that they're going to be able to do that? Are they going to stop?
I think
giving
they'll
up
make a play.
115
I think
game?
they'll get a playing spot. I think they'll get a playing spot because you look at the field.
I think it's
I mean,
possible.
towards the 9-10 spot. I mean, it's like Sacramento. I don't really buy into them because of Luke Walton and their defense as well. San Antonio's not making it. I don't think OKC makes it.
Yeah, but who said the Spurs aren't that bad? All right, it was me. Who says
Yeah.
DeJounte Murray? You know what, Thomas? DeJounte Murray is a very good player, and you need to
He
give him
is.
more respect.
How are we back
because
on
you are
DeJounte Murray?
The title of today's show is, ladies and gentlemen, Jacob versus the world. Literally, Jacob is the opposite of every single.
I
love
never
it.
said. I don't know why we're here right now, but I never said DeJounte Murray
You
was a
said
bad
he's
player.
overrated.
I
You said
did.
he's
Overrated,
which
was
is
not-
blatant.
overrated does
How?
not mean
How is
bad.
he overrated?
Jacob
like
holds
top 10
grudges,
assists.
Thomas.
He has been.
Murray ever
He
on
has
the team?
quite literally
Darn right I
been
do.
the most improved player pick for the past 7 years.
And now he's
Your
proving
pick.
it.
He's your
proving
pick.
it.
He's like
You're
played
bringing
7
that
years
up.
in the
NBA.
He gets
I've
better
never
every
picked
single
him.
year.
I've
He
never
gets
picked him.
better, but he's getting better. It's called development for crying out loud.
He is. He
better
is getting better.
every
No
single year.
denying it there. But if he's not their piece long term. I don't think the Spurs have a piece like a guy they're building around, but I'm taking Devin Vassell long term before I'm taking DeJounte Murray. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I don't know about that.
Oh my god!
I'll take
You
Keldon.
did
I don't
not
know
just
about
say that.
Vassell. I like
Oh
Vassell
my
too.
God.
Keldon too. Keldon too.
I'll take Keldon, but not Vassell. I mean,
Keldon,
the Spurs
Sell. Come on.
The Spurs are not a horrible basketball
Sell.
team, and I think maybe they could be in
God.
contention considering the 10 seed is like I think the 10 seed in the West is going to come to like 30, 33, 34 wins in an 82 game season. I think that's what it'll be. So it'll be between Sacramento, Minnesota, and San Antonio. Who's saying the Timberwolves can't win like 35 games? I mean, they have the talent to do it. Towns is going to get back to where he was in the beginning of the year, I hope. And if not, he'll be close to that. Anthony Edwards, I mean, he'll probably slow down a little bit, but he's playing like an all-star. And they have the talent, they have the coaching. It's just the defense, and it's just D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley. So once they get it all together, this team is going to make the play.
What
And
about
Pretty
their
much their
bench?
defense,
No,
one
what
side
about
of their
their
entire
bench?
game, and two of their biggest players.
You feel
Their
strong.
bench?
How do you feel
That's all.
about their bench?
Their bench, Naz Reid, your guy, is a
Yeah,
great
they
NBA.
don't play him. They play him like 2 minutes. They got to play him more.
Not 2 minutes. They play him way more than that. They play him way more
play
than
like
I know you're exaggerating.
15.
I know you're
They play
exaggerating.
like 15.
Way more than 2 minutes. But
I
two
love
isn't
Nas
15,
Reid. I wrote an
Nas
article about Nas Reid. They don't play him enough.
Nas Reid, according to Basketball Reference, Nas Reid plays 15.6 minutes a game.
yeah, I just saw that.
That's-
That's a little
that's
hurt.
nothing.
More than two.
20.
It's a little more than 2
He's gotta play
minutes.
20.
Little more.
25. 25.
Look
well,
who
no,
became the
Jacob's
math
exaggerating
genius.
with that.
He's got to play
thought it
20
was-
minutes a game.
25. I thought it was 20, but I mean their
He's gotta
bench,
play minimum 20.
Malik Beasley, who has not looked great, so I think he
He's got to
bounces
play
back.
better. He's got to play a lot better.
Nas Reid, who deserves more minutes, obviously, but he's definitely their bench best player right now. Jared Vanderbilt's a guy I like a lot. Patrick Beverly, I mean, he's been starting some games, but I mean, I don't think he's going to be in that starting spot much longer. I don't think their depth is that bad. I think another reason they're not this great is because of their veteran leadership, but that's for a different discussion. But the Wolves are a playing team, not a 14 seed.
I want to wrap up this Timberwolves topic with this. This has been like our most aggressive overall show I think that we've ever had. Like Jacob's just come out with straight,
and we love it that way.
Exactly, we absolutely love it that way. And
I drop atomic bombs.
We're gonna end off with one more roast.
Good one.
It's gonna be for the Minnesota Timberwolves. The best thing that has happened to the Minnesota Timberwolves this season was Karl-Anthony Towns locking up his Twitter. In quotes, that's been the best thing that's happened. And even
imagine
then,
Malik Beasley is playing this bad, and Scottie Pippen isn't even on his tail. I mean, I don't understand that. I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Also, Jacob, I told myself on the show that I would promote Justin and I's 8-3 Washington Wizards, and I will and I'm going to relate this back to the Timberwolves. Karl-Anthony Towns 2DC, elite package of Denny Avdia, lockdown defender, elite rim protector. I'm exaggerating here, guys.
Are we trading Denny for Cat? Denny's
Corey
playing
Kispert,
amazing.
Lights out shooter.
Are we trading
Amazing.
Denny for Cat though? Are we?
What an amazing package.
Yes, we are. No, yes, we are. Yes, we are, Thomas. I saw your face. It's just a joke. Denny's been great, but we're trading him for Cat.
I was about to have a heart attack. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I love Denny, but yeah, I think I'll take Karl-Anthony Towns. Guys, I think that's going to do it for On the Ball. Man, what an electric show. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get out here, I just want to remind you, of course, to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the show. Download the TWSN mobile app, which is getting updated currently as we speak, and also our website as well. Of course, if you're interested in betting, NBA bets have been hitting. Our NFL stuff has been doing really well. And, of course, UFC, any of that kind of stuff. You can check out our betting service on Patreon, where you can have our best bets from all our betting analysts. And, I mean, we have people joining this every day. The betting community is growing. I believe we have close to 40 Patreons so far, which is great to see. So make sure you hop on that if you want to earn some cash. But, guys, that's going to do it. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a good night. We're out.
Is this the dagger?